I'm Jeff Mario Smith from Lexington, Kentucky. I'm a free and sovereign citizen of the Commonwealth of Kentucky in the United States of America. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. This is Randy Walters of the whole families in Hazard, Kentucky. Randy and his group are standing up for the families who are fed by the coal industry in Kentucky. By that I mean people who make their living digging coal out of the mountains of eastern Kentucky and sending it throughout the nation and giving us these wonderful low rates of energy that we have that inspire industry and keep costs low for all of America, not just for eastern Kentuckians. Randy, why don't you tell us why we're here today and why we have brought lumps of coal as Christmas gifts for our governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and many others in the state of Kentucky.
Thank you, Jeff. It is a Christmas gift that we thought appropriate, and the age-old legend that if you're bad, you're going to get a lump of coal for Christmas. Well, our legislators, our governor, our Senate President David Williams, our Speaker of the House Greg Stumbo, they've all been bad. We've got several representatives and senators that have been just absolutely deplorable. We have, like I said, we have the governor who has done nothing to help us with state sovereignty. He would rather say that horses are our signature industry when in fact it is coal. And we also have the lieutenant governor from Hazard, Daniel Mangiardo, who rather than take his time to try and help the people in the coal fields and the coal business, spent his time trying to better himself and run for Senate the time that he had in as lieutenant governor. We also have the Speaker of the House, Greg Stumbo, who under his leadership, the Democrats with Darrell Owens were able to kill the HCR 10 that Stan Lee filed, and those representatives that did not help out of the coal fields were Rick Nelson, Leslie Combs, Hubert Collins, and Ansel Smith. They would not sign on to be a sponsor in the coal fields for HCR 10. We also have Leslie Combs. Her president is also for being a contributor, a financial contributor to the campaign of Kathy Stein, who had sponsored the Stream Saver bill, and a bill that would have killed eastern Kentucky, and all for naught because the water coming off the discharge of the mines at this point in time is cleaner than any time in history. That water is so good that the North Fork of the Kentucky River is now known as one of the best fisheries in the country. And still yet we're getting this flack from the Division of Water, from the EPA, about water quality, and our water quality is very, very good coming out of the mountains right now. That's why we brought these gifts. It also goes to the liberal spending and the waste that we have here in Frankfort amongst the legislators, and Republican or Democrat, it does not matter to us. We have gifts for both sides. Those people that are just absolutely not doing the job they were elected to do, they're playing party politics above the people of Kentucky, and we thought it would be good to bring them a gift to let them know that the people of Kentucky think that their job has been to where they deserve a lump of coal. And the way they're going with it, though, Jeff, it looks like it could be that this may be the last year we get to do that, because the coal will be so high after all the regulations, we won't be able to afford to bring it to them. They'll have to buy it for themselves.
Better dig it now and store it, it sounds like.
That's the way it looks right now.
Randy, I took a little time on the computer to be a little specific on names and certain things. If it's all right with you, I'd like to read through these.
Go through them, yes.
Okay. Governor Steve Holiday Tree Bashir did not stand up for the coal industry against the EPA, instead milking the coal industry for contributions for his campaign. Using coal severances to hire permit processors while giving $1 million to Floyd County for a horse trail. Bad timing. David Williams also failed to recognize state sovereignty and take action to stop the EPA assaults against the coal industry in Kentucky. He's been compromising with Democrats on spending policies out of the House, allowing the state budgets to be passed without funding pension funds. Kathy Stein, senator from Lexington, Kentucky, for trying to kill the coal industry with her Stream Saver bill, as you mentioned,
right.
While the North Fork of the Kentucky River is one of the greatest places to fish in the country. It's more of an attack on the coal industry than it is anything else. Kathy Stein for being a part of the culture of death in Kentucky. which adamantly supports the murder of abortion by fighting the ultrasound bill. Kathy Stein for making public statements that the POW-MIA flag represents extremists. Speaker Greg Stumbo, during budget debate, helped kill HCR 10, Stan Lee's resolution to stand up for the U.S. Constitution, 10th Amendment rights of Kentucky, and loading the budget with pork projects.
Don't forget Trey Grayson. He didn't read the Constitution.
Admits to not even reading the Constitution. Help me with that one. Representative Darrell Owens killed HCR 10 in committee, even though it had enough co-sponsors to bring it to the floor. He's been hearing press exemption bills, vehemently anti-gun. Representative Leslie Combs contributed money to Kathy Stein's campaign and failed to support HCR 10. The Climate Action Council by Steve Beshear, wasting time and money on the myth of man-made global warming. Excuse me, is it climate change now?
Yeah, it's a new politically correct term.
Okay, I'm sorry, climate change. Representative Rick Nelson, failure to support HCR 10, which would have helped the coal industry, and he's from Bell County.
Right.
Representative Hubert Collins failed to support HCR 10.
He's from Johnson County and Floyd County.
Coal people, wake up to who you're voting for. State Representative Ansel Smith. Do we have another name for him?
Hard Rock.
Hard Rock Smith.
Yeah, he wouldn't go along with HCR 10 either, because he was advised that it was filed by that old Republican.
Oh, so let's get partisan rather than stand up for our Constitution.
Yeah, let's do that.
We've got enough of that. The PSC, for allowing utility rates to be raised in Kentucky at the expense of the prospect of losing the coal industry and other industry in the state due to high power rates. Kentucky Division of Water, one of the most bungled bureaucracies in the United States.
They can't even... They got to the point of where they passed regulations and new ways of doing things down onto the testing laboratories, and they couldn't even download the results of the information sent to them because their computers weren't up to par with what they were demanding from the folks out in the field.
So this is a system that they forced on the labs,
right?
Yet they can't read the data coming back from the labs.
They've had a real problem, and there's even one inspector that said that if she wanted to read the results of any particular lab had sent to them about any particular mining entity, that in the morning when this inspector got up and got to work, they would start downloading that file, and by the time they'd gone out and done their work all day and came back in, it might be downloaded enough for them to open the file.
Sounds like dial-up internet to me.
Dial-up's faster than that.
Also, hasn't the Kentucky Division of Water been guilty of blaming all the overregulation in the state on the EPA and just deflecting it upon the EPA?
There's so much that is going on within the Division of Water that nobody will really come down to and explain is, did they really, is the EPA really mandating this? And there's a lot of difference between a mandate and a suggestion. And what we have going on with the Division of Water is nobody can tell anybody anything except you got to do this, you've got to do that. And even the environmentalists out there are saying that this Division of Water, this cabinet, is a mess, and it is a mess. And there's evidence that because of some forms that were messed up and some reporting that was done, they didn't even bother to get that information and review these forms and all the info they have.
It just keeps getting worse, folks. The Kentucky Department of Education gets a lump of coal for standing against charter schools in Kentucky, which is the third worst system in the nation, relating to the ratio of administrators to teachers. The progressive fall of Kentucky schools, hanging on to the liberal education agenda, even after this mode of education is proven to be a failure nationally and even internationally now. We were just recently ranked internationally, I think, 12th, which is just phenomenal. And you put Kentucky down at, what, the last 3 of the 50, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Yet they keep getting more and more money. So they get a nice, big, round lump of coal.
It wasn't Kentucky. Kentucky was just rated as the worst managed state in the United States. We don't have enough bags.
We need more bags.
We would have had to have brought a coal truck.
And like you say, it's going to be hard to get the coal the way things are going.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to still bring these lumps of coal up here. We think this is going to be an annual event. Richie Farmer gets a lump of coal as the Ag Commissioner for wasting taxpayer dollars on unneeded vehicle purchases and lavish trips, while other state workers are taking furloughs and not receiving their COLA raises. I'd like to have that one explained to us. Jody Richards gets a lump of coal for not backing pro-gun bills. Lieutenant Governor Dan Margiotto, as you say, gets a lump of coal for turning his back on the coal industry during a critical time, choosing to feather his own bed and run for state senator instead. He even labeled Eastern Kentucky folks who are against the leftist policies of Barack Obama as ignorant or racist. These are people in his own state, in his own part of the state. Attorney General Jack Conway gets a lump of coal for supporting cap and trade, which will destroy Kentucky's coal industry and industry in general. He also did not help on state sovereignty. Crit Llewellyn gets a lump of coal because during the Patton administration, she buried problems, hid them, only to later expose them and say, hey, look what I found. Aren't I your hero? And she hasn't done an education audit yet. You want to find waste in the state of Kentucky? Go to the education department. Trey Grayson gets a lump of coal, as you said. He admits to never reading the Kentucky Constitution. Damon Thayer gets a lump of coal for pushing Senate Bill 62, which is a restriction on our freedom of speech. Very similar to the McCain-Feingold legislation, which gives an exemption to the press, but limits us. Wrong. Unconstitutional. Representative Rick Rand, House Budget Chairman, gets a lump of coal for continuing the Moberly reign of debt, bonding over $10 billion and then calling it a balanced budget. Sorry, you don't balance a budget by borrowing money. We decided that Mary Lou Marzan, Jim Wayne, and Ruth Ann Palumbo get to share a lump of coal for being the House Liberal Wacko Caucus. Did I miss anybody, Randy?
I don't think so.
Well, that about covers it for our lumps of coal. Merry Christmas, Kentucky State Representatives of the People.